Hey everybody, this is Chris, MTGO's Reg Start, and I'm back for episode 3 in the ongoing Show and Tell series where we look at decks that finished in the top 4 in the Tribal Apocalypse Play Run event for the Tribal Legacy Wars format. And what we are looking at today is a Constructs deck that finished first place by Endless Nameless. And he beat Dirty Ducks Cats in the tiebreaker final. If you want to learn about Dirty Ducks Cats, apart from I'm sure Kumagoro has written about it in the article for this week, but also you can look back at my first in my deck archetype series from last fall entitled Sly Aggro, where I look at the Cats list that Dirty Duck and another player piloted in 2011. They were strangely absent in 2012, but back to kick into gear in 2013. But this one took it down in the finals, and this is sort of a hybrid deck of two legacy decks, really. There's sort of half an affinity deck in here and half a mud deck. And Legacy Mud is a deck that is built around Metalworker and Grim Monolith, and the idea being that you can generate an enormous amount of mana and cast these huge creatures that normally you wouldn't be able to cast in a legacy environment quickly enough to make it work. And so you have Koldatha Forge Master, and you have Blightsteel Colossus as a tutor target for the Koldatha Forge Master. He also has 4 Mirror Battlespheres, which are handy because they are not only in tribe, unlike the Golem, Blightsteel Colossus, but also a great target to tutor up or just to hard cast. Most of the cards in the deck, with the exception of the Ancient Tombs, 3 Gaia's Cradles, 4 Inkmoth Nexus, and 1 Island, which I assume was only in here so that he could fetch it if one of his guys got Path to Exiled, which, given the popularity of that spell, probably isn't unreasonable. Other than those cards, everything else in this deck is an artifact. So if you can get an early Metalworker out, you can generate a pretty insane amount of mana. And you can then go from that mana into casting Koldatha Forge Masters, Mirror Battlespheres, that sort of thing. But in addition to that sort of big mana angle, which is what Legacy Mud decks traditionally look like, he's also got a deck that really looks more like a affinity deck here with Frogmites, Steel Overseers, and Cranial Platings, and Arcbound Workers down here at the low end. And he's also got Memnites down here, a couple of Mox Opals, which hopefully the Memnites will help turn on for him as well. And because he's got a larger number of creatures, especially at the low end here, the Gaia's Cradles can also contribute to his mana ramp. So these guys help generate mana for the deck in that respect, but they also benefit from the Steel Overseer and as carriers for the Cranial Plating, although of course there is no better carrier for Cranial Plating than an Inkmoth Nexus, which has the potential to one-shot you, and certainly by the mid-game when you've been able to vomit your hand artifacts out. So if you ever played against an Affinity deck, you'll probably more familiar with the affinity decks than you are with mud decks, because mud decks are not extremely popular. But again, I liked that Endless Nameless used aspects of both in this deck. And again, if it was not for the fact that some of the cards in this deck, especially the monoliths and the metalworkers, are expensive legacy staples that are too narrow to go in more than one deck, I think this is the kind of thing that I might like to experiment myself at some point with. But again, it's hard to justify getting into cards that are only going to be used in basically one archetype. Anyways, congrats to Endless Nameless. It's going to be pretty short this week because, as I probably will have mentioned in the intro text, I did not get any video replays this week to cover, so I'm sure I put some information in there. But please, if you get into the top 4 of this event, one of the great things about playing in this event is you get to, if you're a deck builder and a brewer, you get to have your handiwork showcased every week. And so if you played in the event and you had a high finish and you're proud of it, by all means, send me a video of the replay, and I would be happy to comment on your videos, take a look at your deck. And again, that's just one of the great aspects about the Tribal Apocalypse Play Run event. We really admire and reward deck building and creativity and the variety that we get that the Legacy format affords us. So since that is the only deck for the week and I don't have any replays, I thought it would be interesting just quickly to take a look, inspired by this really cool art for Metalworker, which sort of reminds me of some sort of 1950s sci-fi thing. I don't know if you'd even call it like a little Art Deco, but I really like the art for this card, and it's the kind of art that you don't see too much in the game anymore, and I really miss it. I'm one of those old-timey guys that wish that they had some more variety, some things that looked more like older fantasy art, rather than the very literal representational art that they seem to insist on for 99% of the cards that they print these days. So I went back and took a look at Mr. Don Hazeltine, who drew Metalworker, to see some of the other gems that he made. And it appears that there was an interesting throwback here. If you've seen Deadwood Treefolk, Deadwood Treefolk is taking basically the same pose and same shape as the Metalworker, and the 3 tree branches that are at his feet are in the same position as the 3 smaller golems that the Metalworker is giving energy to in this picture. So given that this was originally from Time Spiral Block, I think that we found a little throwback there. I really liked his style on some of these other cards. Equilibrium, which also seems like a card that I wouldn't be surprised to see play in the event at some point, given that everyone's got 20 creatures in their deck, and you should have plenty of opportunity for it to trigger. I don't know if the 1 mana perhaps makes it a little too difficult, or maybe tapping out for 3 mana enchantment isn't the kind of thing that a tempo deck that would want this would necessarily want to do. But anyways, very interesting looking art on that one. Envelop, which also saw some tournament play back in the day, appears to have a fireball surrounded in a little ball of light there. But nothing could quite top Orem's Cure. If you can't see it very well on YouTube, go ahead and load this one up on Gatherer, because the look on Orem's face, she seems to be really horrified that the crazy 8-foot-tall beast guy is about to amputate this dude's leg. And she's like, no, seriously, dude, what are you doing? I control the planes. I'm just going to tap and untap dude and prevent that and heal that for you. So, you know, back off, bro. But she's like, got this seriously crazy look in her eyes, like she's just shocked and appalled with what's going on. He doesn't normally do the famous figures here in any of his other art, so I guess his take on Orem had to be a little nutty. Psychic Theft, this bald-headed weird chick on the right seems to have stolen Dumbledore's memory thing and put it into a goblet. I don't know. And then I gotta just call out, if Todd Lockwood is one of the 12 people who actually watch my videos every week. Yeah, this version of Quirion Dryad sucks. Hazeltine's version was way better. I get what you're trying to do with the little floaty balls there, the different colors behind her, but the figure is just appallingly ugly. And so yeah, Todd Lockwood, I'm calling you out right here, right now. Weatherseed Fairies. These chicks look like they're from some sort of anime. Maybe it's Bayonetta chicks floating across the volcano here. Unearth, again, Hazeltine with this strangely, large amount of tournament playable cards for somebody who hasn't done an awful lot of art. Certainly like the hand going out of the ground there. Reminds me of Army of Darkness, Evil Dead movies. Yavimaya Barbarian really kind of seems out of place for Hazeltine. This is like one of the more representational, straightforward, you could almost even see this printed today kind of arts. I guess it was near the end of the time that he worked there. But anyways, I thought you might enjoy looking at some of this crazy old art here, especially Orem's Cure. So that's the video for this week, and I will see you next week with hopefully a little more on-topic content and a little less meandering about 12-year-old art. So thank you, and I'll join you next week.